Welcome to the Cartridge Connection Podcast, the show that brings retro gaming out of the dusty bins and dirty containers and back into your living room. Join the crew as they discuss retro gaming and modern gaming at its finest, with your hosts, Will, the Gorilla Gamer, Cliff, Southern Star Gamer, and John, with Gaming Through the Decades.
What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of the already iconic Cartridge Connection Podcast. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
How's it going?
I'm just Cliff. I'm just glad you answered your phone for the podcast, and at least I can get you to answer your phone every now and then. Because when I'm trying to make a impulse decision on video games, man, you're not available for me. I'm kind of disappointed, man.
Well, the life of a YouTube superstar isn't easy. So my adoring fans in public at times can put me in quite indisposed, I should
say. Right on, man. Good enough. I'll accept that, I suppose. Episode 2. Just want to first off thank everyone who tuned in to our first episode. We got some good feedback, and it sounds like a lot of people enjoyed it. So this is definitely going to be a bi-weekly thing. So we'll have these for everyone on their Wednesday mornings on their crappy driving to work during hump day. So perfect for that.
Yes. Absolutely.
So what we're going to cover today, guys, we're just going to essentially get into some gaming news. I couldn't find anything like crazy YouTube gaming stuff, so we won't have that today. It'll just be your basic gaming news, and then we'll get into some retro collecting talk, and then, of course, we'll always mix in our hidden gems and what we've been playing and our recent pickups.
All right. Sounds like the dope jam.
But you guys have anything you want to share before I get started with our gaming news?
No.
I'd like to say that no baby seals were harmed in the taping of this podcast.
And no neckbeards were shaved.
That's the damn truth.
All right, cool, guys. So some PlayStation news. I mean, I guess it could just be PlayStation, but you can kind of think about all consoles. It seems that the Ubisoft CEO was pretty vocal within the last 2 weeks. Yves Guillemot, I have no idea how to say his name. He was speaking during an earnings call, and this was transcribed by GameSpot. And he essentially said, don't expect to see another console after the PS5. But for the new consoles, there's nothing official on that. So my expectation is we will have another cycle of consoles before we go to streaming, he said. And my question to you guys is, do you think digital gaming is inevitable? And if it is, what do we do? I mean, what are we going to do when it is? And that's all we have. So, Will, I'll let you go ahead and start this one off.
Well, I'll chime in there a little bit. I'll tell you, to me, it's looking more towards digital. As much as it pains me and hurts, it just kills me. But I see that's what the newer generation is welcoming with open arms. I don't think they're, but I guess at the same token, all of your physical stuff, I think that's going to keep going up in price because everything will be digital. And I'm really hoping that's not the case, but it just seems like where everything's going. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. What do you think, Cliff?
I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I think that's kind of the direction that the gaming industry wants to go, and from my aspect, it's not for the consumer's best interest. I think it's in the interest of making them more money and being more in control of the industry. I think the digital rights that we have now, digital rights ownerships, are a joke. I believe it's very anti-consumer. But like you hinted at, Will, the younger generation just doesn't seem to have I don't know, an attachment, I guess, if you will. It's kind of like when you're done with the game, why not trade it, sell it off, or why should I bother with going to the store to buy a game when I can just download it digitally? But they don't tend to stop and look at the bigger picture. But yeah, as much as I hate to say it, I do think that maybe we may get one more quote unquote traditional console cycle, and then that's probably going to be it. And by then, I won't. I most likely I won't be involved in modern gaming scene, so I'll kind of just exit stage left. But yeah, I see it. John, what do you think about it? I mean, do you see it going that route?
You kind of touched on what I was going to say a little bit. And to me, you look at these companies, and they're going to start catering to the younger gamer, because I guess the average age is like, I think 30 years old. Well, these kids, eventually they're going to be 30. And do they care about hard media? I don't think they do, to be honest with you. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't. I mean, look at movies. I mean, I couldn't tell you, with the exception of maybe like a few times a year, like when really good movies I really enjoy come out, yeah, I'll go out and I'll buy the Blu-ray, And games are kind of going the same way. You wouldn't have all this thing with this new Call of Duty if, I guess they're remastering, Modern Warfare. Well, why would they need to remaster that if you can play it on the 360? It's because the younger generation of gamers, I call it the throwaway generation. As soon as it's not new, you throw it away.
Right,
and also, go ahead.
And also graphic horrors too. I mean, you got a lot of graphic horrors out there who just want to see it in an updated version. They want to see the 1080p and or possibly 4K. I don't know what exactly it's going to be remastered to, but yeah, it's almost like it's such an instant gratification that the current generation gets. And like you said, John, we're going to die one day. So our generation is already, I mean, I don't think Sony is thinking of us as their demographic anymore. They're already looking to, the new generation. So yeah.
Yeah, they're looking at how to make money 10 years from now.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
How are we going to be in business 10, 15 years from now? I mean, you see it with GameStop. They're starting to branch out. Even they see it, because I guess some GameStops are starting to sell, have cell phones and tablets and other media. So you see it there. Even I mean, the writing's on the wall. When is it going to happen? I think that's really the big debate. Like Cliff, like you said, I think maybe one more generation. I think they really tried to push digital media with this gen, and they just got way too much pushback from the gamers and the audience, and they kind of took a step back and said, okay, well, maybe we're not ready for this yet. So it's there. They're trying. They haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Yeah, I seen somewhere not too long ago that still said, believe it or not, physical sales are still about 67 or 60-something%. But then you could also look at that at the other side of the table and say, look, physical sales have gone down 30-something%. And what happens in another 5 years when physical sales are only 50%? And as Will alluded to, this generation, it seems to me, not all of them, but I don't want to paint that brush, but some of them, it seems to, like Will said, as soon as the newest thing comes out, like with the Modern Warfare 4, that's an Xbox 360 game that still looks fine. But to us, where we hold these games, even a couple of years ago, we still hold them a value. It was a good game. It's still, as soon as the next one comes out, it's like you said, the throwaway generation. That's so last year, I'm not playing it. And they consider the older stuff inferior, which I think leads them to not want to hang on to it.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm very well.
Is that the death of nostalgia? That's what I'm wondering. You know, Cliff said, you know, just a few minutes ago, he said, you know, there's not much of an attachment. So it just kind of leads me to believe that if there's no attachment, you know, then of course they're just gonna, you know, play it, and then it almost turns uncool the next day. So you know, so it's just a different mindset. I see it with my 10-year-old, you know.
But Will, in reality, I think we were all like that though as kids. I mean, would you agree with that? I mean, because who gets nostalgic about a 3-year game when you're, you know, 12 years old? You know, it's always about the newest and coolest thing.
That's true, but there was still games that I would still play just because of, you know, like even when I was 10 years old, I'd go back and still play Atari just because I like the simplicity of it and the artwork on the cartridges, and that you're not getting that anymore. You're not getting any of the medium to it. You're just getting the game, and it's, you know, to me, that's when you went out and bought a game, you know, the whole thing was an experience in buying it, right down from the packaging to the disc, the artwork, the music, everything on it was all part of a package. And almost the last thing was the game, was the software, because you put that in when you got home, you know, but you looked at the box and the manual and everything on your way home, you know, from buying it at the mall or whatever. And so you were already building an attachment with that game from that moment that you picked it up and held it. Nowadays, you know, I don't take my kids to the store, you know. They don't pick out a game there anymore. You know, they get on Steam.
And you're right, and I'll say that. I mean, I don't remember trade-ins when I was younger either. You know, I didn't know if that existed. I didn't start trading in consoles till I was older. So and now you have places like GameStop pushing these like massive trade deals. So you know, you bring in your last gen console, and they practically give you a new one. You know, so they have that going for them too. But Cliff, you brought up something interesting, and we both kind of touched on it. Was the Call of Duty. So more Call of Duty news. I guess, well, this is the first time we've talked about it because it wasn't news yet for our first episode. But apparently the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is like one of the most thumbs down video on YouTube, right up there with that crappy Friday song. So, I mean, that's pretty astonishing. And do you think people are tired of Call of Duty and other online multiplayer style shooters? Cliff, I'll let you take this because I know you're not the biggest shooter fan, so I'll let you start off on this one.
Well, I mean, you know, okay, I'm just going to tell you my opinion. And it's just not an attack on anybody who likes that type of thing. You know, everybody likes what they like. But I feel
all right, this
that...
This is the part of the show. This is the part of the show where we start pissing people off.
Yeah.
Let's see how many people we can anger. Go ahead, Cliff.
Just start the counter now. No, I mean, let's be honest. Call of Duty's been out for years, guys. I mean, it's a first-person shooter, multiplayer, mostly online multiplayer. I think it's a genre that's painted itself in a box. How many ways can you run around a map and shoot people? You know what I mean? Especially when the focus of the game is the multiplayer and not so much as the story. So, you know, year after year they pump these games out. Like I said, there's in a genre I feel that's is limited in a lot of ways. So I just feel like fans are just getting worn out on it. And again, in some of Activision's business practices, a lot of fans feel like they're getting raked over the coals. And I just think they finally just got tired of Activision not listening to their fans and saying, we want, this is what we want. And I think you're seeing that in the dislikes in the video. I mean, I think your fans, like I said, are just fed up. But in you know, not in defense of Activision, but I mean, what do you want? If you do too much, you're innovating too much. If you keep it the same, you're not innovating. And in a very, very tightly restrained genre, in my opinion. So, but ultimately, I think that we're starting to see the pushback from the fans reaching a crescendo. But I mean, John, Will, what do you think about it? What do y'all guys think about it? Y'all are a little bit more familiar, maybe, with that scene than I am.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I stopped playing these types of games about 3 years ago, and just for the exact reason why you mentioned, Cliff, they got boring. It's the same stuff, man. It's like, well, how many times I'm gonna pay $60 for a new game, a new Call of Duty. But this one I have a jumpsuit or whatever, an exosuit, so I can run around like Halo. Well, I already have Halo. If I want to jump around like that, I'll go play Halo. So yeah, it's you hit the nail on the head, and it's essentially just the same thing over and over again. And I get it. There are people who like those genres.
All right, now let me hit the brakes on there, Hot Shots. All right, so have you guys even played the Call of Duty 3 yet?
The Black Ops 3?
Yeah, Black Ops 3.
I have not.
Okay. It is and this is coming from a guy, I'm not a Call of Duty diehard fan by any stretch of the imagination. I haven't, followed them through everything. I think the last one I played was Black Ops 2. Well, I got Black Ops 3, and yes, it's a different experience. It is completely different from the campaign, but the multiplayer is almost like a class-based shooter, and it's kind of different from the previous entries. And they also have a zombie mode, which goes back to like the 1920s, and you're like these, you take 4 different characters, and it's definitely different. I'm not saying it's good or bad or anything like that, but it definitely is different than Black Ops 2. Now, because it's just different as far as the class base. But I do recommend you playing Call of Duty 3. It's not as bad as you would think, but I do know what you mean by every year there will be a Call of Duty Black Ops 4 in a year or something from them in a year, Treyarch. And that's my issue, is it's a yearly franchise, and it's like Cliff said, how much further can you advance that?
Yeah, and it's not just Call of Duty. I mean, look at Assassin's Creed, man. I used to love those games, and that became another annual money grab, and it's tiring.
I have to say, with that, I played the new Assassin's Creed. Which one is that? Where
Syndicate. I have it. I have it.
Yeah. I actually liked it. I thought, there's pretty much only one way to solve or to kind of sneak around and stuff. But I didn't think it was too horrible. But again, like you said, it's a yearly, it's a yearly franchise. So that's and sometimes it'll be better. But for the most part, it's probably going to be a little more disappointing.
So we can kind of agree then it's more of a yearly issue than anything. Maybe the game doesn't suck, but you think gamers are just getting tired of these annual releases.
Yeah.
You think that has more to do with it?
Yeah, I do.
I think Ubisoft definitely played it smart with giving Assassin's Creed a rest. Now, that is something that I think was, of course, their investors probably didn't like it. But I think that was well played. But let's talk back on Call of Duty here. Do you think that all this negative pushback, now we've already seen slumping sales year after year, but that's kind of a natural thing with any series. I mean, eventually your fans get disinterested and whatnot. But do y'all guys think that this massive pushback will actually result in loss of sales? Or do you think these people are just venting and they're going to buy it anyway? Do you think we'll see a translation from the community pushback to actual relative lower sales numbers?
I got to tell you, Cliff, if there are lower sales numbers, then you'll see changes, because That's what it's going to boil down to, is that buck.
Yeah.
I would be stunned if sales would be less, and I'll explain why. Call of Duty, it doesn't just emulate to the regular Call of Duty fans. Like with Nintendo, for example, a lot of the new Nintendo games, they're going to be bought by people who play Nintendo, and they're going to buy them anyways. Call of Duty is like one of the most mass-marketed games there is. They sell, the pack-in systems with them and everything. So you have Call of Duty resonates and is familiar with just about probably 90% of anyone under the age of 25, in the United States. People at Call of Duty, oh yeah, I know what Call of Duty is, I mean, you could probably ask your grandmother, you're a Call of Duty, you can say Call of Duty, she'd probably be like, oh, is that some video game? Look how many commercials you see with the actors and everything. So I don't think there will be a loss of sales, and that's why. Unfortunately,
my grandma would say, I think my grandma would say, yeah, Call of Duty is what your grandpa said. That's what he would yell whenever he got home from the service. It's Call of Duty, woman.
Or I don't know, but I was look. I've seen Doritos, and I think I've seen a Call of Duty flavored Dorito. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Cliff. It's a mass marketed game that everybody sees commercials for. So
yeah,
I think that'll go ahead.
I just want to say, if you enjoy those games, more power to you guys, because I know myself and John and Will, we're not down on anybody who enjoys that type of game. So if you love those games, man, have at it. But
I really enjoyed Call of Duty 3. I would recommend that to somebody. That's but that's me personally.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, in the end, everything is subjective, and hey, as long as you're having fun, that's the most important part.
Word up.
So let's get into some retro collecting talk. Alrighty. So I'm going to throw this out there. With the crazy prices that we keep seeing, especially in like these common games, I mean, apparently Contra is like $40 now. Saw that at a retro store the other day. I almost peed my pants. Super Mario 3 is getting regular NES Contra, man. It's a $40 game right now.
Yeah.
One of the most common games out there. Even Super Mario 3, I'm seeing reach like $30, $40 in some places. This is at retro stores, and this isn't just loony eBay sellers. So my question to you guys is, are there still deals out there, and where the heck are they? So Cliff's kind of like our, I guess if you would compare game hunting to like actual hunting, Cliff would probably be like the bear hunter. So
right.
I'll let Cliff take this one first, man. Go ahead.
I don't know about that. If I had to pick a hunting mate, my Floridian buddy over there, I tell you what, he can sniff out a game within 1,000 miles. No, but yeah, you know what? There are still deals out there to be had, but I mean, it's all about inconsistency of hunting and stuff. But I will tell you what, in my experience, there's a couple systems that just get no love, and they get passed over. I mean, I've seen people, what I can only expect is someplace that's been picked over, but you know what? They didn't touch the OG Xbox games, or their Master System games are still very affordable. So I mean, sure, there's deals out there to be had. You got to look, and the main thing I think is you got to have some level of patience. I mean, to find the best deal, because if you let your impatience get the best of you, you're gonna spend more money. So I mean, yes, they're out there, and you just got to find them, and prices are getting high. But if you play it smart and networking with people, letting people know that you enjoy old retro games, so keep an eye out for you, trading with fellow gamers, whatnot, and so forth, you can still find some deals out there, yeah.
Well, what do you think, man? Do you think,
man,
what's the best way of going about and finding those deals?
I think Cliff nailed it. I mean, I think there's deals to be had. You just, you know, you can't be impulsive on it at all. And I know it's hard because it's hard for me because I'll watch other people's videos and, you know, because I like watching pickup videos and you know, sometimes it's like, man, I want to find that, you know, and it just kind of gives you that gold fever to get out there and to try a little harder, even though you still may not find anything for a good price. But your chances are exponentially better if you know, stop by that thrift store you keep passing by. You know, maybe those times you passed by there was something in there. But yeah, it's I've been running into some crazy prices myself. And I some things I just have to scratch my head on. But you know, you just like I've been looking for a boot disc for a Game Boy player, the Game Boy Advance player for my GameCube, and to me that's I could probably find the Dead Sea Scrolls faster than I could find me one of those. But I could have dropped $50 on one at a retail store, and so, but that takes a lot of it out of it to me personally, because I'd like to either find one or get a good deal on it. I mean, you know, if I could find a good deal on one, that'd be great. But you know, it's I do think you're starting to see people who are aware that the word Nintendo equals money, I guess. And but then you find people out there who treat it like it's a hammer, or or it's something just common and they don't care, they just want to get rid of it. So I would say the more you look, the better chances you get.
Yeah. You guys hit it. And as far as the hammer thing, the people who look at them as hammers, you're gonna find those people at usually like garage sales, sales, yard sales. Those are going to be those are the people who have these games and don't think they're valuable, and they, or just don't have any personal value as far as they go. They're just trying to clear space. That's kind of like, I guess that's like the last frontier as far as where you're going to find good deals. I'm seeing more and more of it at thrift stores. I mean, you still have the good small like mom and pop shops. You're going to find good deals there, and but with like big chain places like Goodwill, those places are kind of Salvation Army, maybe not so much, but some of the bigger ones, those are the ones that are kind of starting to catch on because they see a lot of that stuff, and they have a large customer base that are constantly coming in. But even there, I mean, Goodwill, you can still, in certain areas, you can still definitely find good deals. Go ahead, Will, do you have something to say?
Oh, yeah, it's just, even at Goodwill, there's a bunch of them in my area. I mean, in these little towns. And there's one that I go to quite often, and, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a Guitar Hero, if it's a Tiger Woods PGA Tour 08, or if it's, Final Fantasy VII. It's going to be $4.26 for this day. It doesn't matter which one. And that drives me up the wall. I swear to God, that kills me.
Well, something about Goodwill. I think their prices, I think it depends on where you're at. Because, I mean, I live out here in Phoenix, and it's a huge, huge area. But if I go to the Goodwills on, like, the far east side of town, like in Gilbert, like, going far east to, like, Phoenix, their prices are ridiculous. They're stupid price.
Yeah, I swear it since they are a quote unquote charitable organization, I bet it has something to do with the how much money is generated in that area. You know what I mean? Right. Like the cost of living in that area is I'm sure it's a bit more in Phoenix, so you're going to pay a bit more,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know Will can certainly find some deals, because I tell you what, he found some hellacious Super Nintendo deals not too long ago. So they're out there.
The other thing is, and we'll get into our pickups for sure. So I kind of want to find out what those are, Will. But the other thing is definitely patience. and consistency. I was coming home Friday from work, and something happened where I wound up having a little too much free time, and I was able to hit like 5 spots, and I mean nothing. My 5th spot was like nothing. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go home. And like just so happened, I think I was at a Goodwill, and there was like some unknown thrift store like not too far from where I was at. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stop at this one, and then I'm going to just go home. And I'll be damned. I stumbled upon some PS1 games and some PS2 games, and they weren't just sports titles. So yeah, patience and consistency. You have to be consistent. It's it's the law of averages.
Absolutely.
If you fish, the more times you go fishing, the more fish you're going to catch. It's the same thing. So the deals are out there. So I would say consistency, patience, and if you live in an area that has a lot of yard sales and garage sales, look and don't expect to find anything at the first 5 garage sales you go to. That's another.
Well, no, because. Well, yeah, look at you. If you witnessed, I mean, it would have been easy for you on Friday to go, hey, I've went to 4 of them already. After this, I'm done. But that 5th one, you found something. So,
Yeah.
Case in point.
So since we're talking about price and good deals, I kind of want to bring this up, and this might ruffle a few feathers, but again, this is just our opinion, so if you get a little offended or upset, I guess that's just the way it is, and hey, it's not the end of the world.
There's the break.
So we talked about Retropalooza a little bit last week with Cliff, and with the increase, I don't know about most of these cons or conventions, they have a lot of guests that come in, and you're seeing them hitting the floor earlier than the folks like who have paid to get into these conventions and just to get the good deals. So you see them going in, hitting the floors, and kind of like taking first dibs.
Oh.
And I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on that. Yeah. I mean, so do you think that's okay? Is it wrong, or do you think it should just be considered a perk as being a guest, especially if like some of these guests aren't getting paid? How do you guys feel about that?
I'll say this one first, just because I know Cliff has been there, so he'll probably have a little more to say on it. But I'll just say real quick, I've never been to a convention. I've never. We don't have them here in Florida too often, at least locally. So I've never been to one to experience it. It's the first I've heard of it. So.
But you're seeing it on YouTube. So you're seeing it within the community. You don't necessarily have to go to one. I mean, it's definitely
no.
It's a thing.
But I didn't even know that existed until I started to notice it recently. I just didn't I just didn't think about that as happening, but I can see it happening, and I can see where that's kind of shifty because, well, I mean, these people, you're paying money to go to a convention. And they're not cheap, and you go there and to know that your stuff there, you're not getting a fair shake just like everybody else. That would personally tick me off. It would personally almost probably make me angry to the point to where I said something to somebody, and that's not even like me. But it's one thing to spend money to go to a convention. It's another thing to go to a convention that's already been picked through. I do that enough, and I call that goodwill. I go there and I can go through scraps all day, but anyway. But I know Cliff has more of an insight to it. But my opinion,
it's one thing.
It's jacked up.
It's one thing when the neckbeards beat you to the punch. but when the guests do, it can be a little irritating. It's pretty much what you're saying.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. No, the way, like Will said, people pay to go to these conventions, and people working there, I just think they should hold off until, like I say, if the convention opens at 9 and you're not doing anything involved in the convention, if you're able to go out there at 9 with everybody else and dig through the games, hey, more power to you. Let's go find them. But to come in at 8 when the tables are being set up, and you don't have any competition amongst other buyers, and maybe you're expecting the little brother-in-law deal on the games, then I do have a problem with that. I've run into circumstances like that in at other places too, where flea market sellers were, just say the flea market opens at 9, and they were going to other sellers' stalls at 8. Hey, you got any games? What you got? And they were buying them before the doors open. And I mean, there's always going to be some of that going on. I mean, I guess it's just human nature. But do I think it's right? Absolutely not. I mean, you ought to give everybody, a fair shake, which, I mean, I understand life isn't fair, but if it's your job to represent a convention, and I just think that you ought to really, as a business, want the people to come in there and find good deals so they can tell their friends next year when your convention rolls around, hey, man, I found all these good deals. You got to come next year, buy your tickets. Not, oh, man, when I got there, it was picked clean, Not to mention, I think it's a little bit unethical.
So let me play devil's advocate here first, and then I'll give you my opinion on it. What about, like, if these guests aren't being paid and, maybe they spent money to go out there to the convention? You don't think it's okay that it can just be maybe considered a perk for them? Like, hey, you get to hit the floor an hour early before the crowd comes in to maybe get some good deals since we're not able to pay you? What do you think of that?
No, I mean, if they're working the convention, they're going to multiple cities. Most likely, they're getting to know these dealers, sellers, so they're probably getting it outside. Like, hey, if Saturday after lunchtime this game doesn't sell, get back with me. But I mean, no, I don't think so. I think it should be is if you didn't pay for your ticket, or if you paid for your ticket, you should go in there like everybody else and dig through the games. And no, you shouldn't expect a special discount because you got a YouTube channel. So what? So does a bunch of other people. But we don't expect preferential treatment.
Would you agree with that?
100%.
So here's how I look at it, and I'm just going to kind of draw a little analogy here. And I grew up in Pennsylvania, and trout fishing's huge out there. So every year, like a week before trout fishing started, they'd stock the lakes and they'd stock the streams. So I look at it as it would be the equivalent as these people who stock the streams and the lakes to stock it, throw the fish in, go in their truck, and then throw the rod in the water and start fishing for these fish that they just threw in the lake. So does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I look at it. It's it's not fair to those people who are paying for their ticket. The only reason why I'm going to any conventions is for good deals. I could care less about pretty much anything else. The guests, I don't care about the guests. I don't want to go and meet this person or that person. Now, the AZ Game On Expo is going to have the dude there who does the voice of Master Chief. That might be kind of cool. But overall, I think we could agree that people go there for the deals. So when you kind of take that, when you take a part of that away, I think that, I think that's pretty messed up. It's definitely not ethical, especially when you already have a collection that's maybe, full or complete, or your collection's already complete and you're just looking for stuff to trade away anyways. Then I have a real problem with it.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you take into account how much does it cost to put on a convention and promote it. I mean, it can't be that much, but whatever it is, then you look back and you go, well, it doesn't matter because it's for my personal collection game. You know what I mean? Because if it's your convention, you can kind of go around and see what everybody's got going on.
Yeah. But like I said, too, you would want the people to, if you're putting on that convention and you're counting on ticket sales and word of mouth to grow your convention, therefore sell more tickets, you would be hoping people are finding deals because they're
Right.
gonna go, hey man, I found a bunch of deals there last year. You're gonna want to get your ticket when it comes around, comes back to town again. I mean,
Exactly.
at least
Exactly.
I
You
would
want
think.
residual customers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think you have to treat it as a business, and I think that if I'm a convention owner, I'm giving the people who paid, my 100% full attention. As far as I'm concerned, they should be the most valuable people there, not the guests, because those people that are coming there, buying your tickets, they're the ones making you money, and overall, that's how you're going to succeed, is to please them.
Yeah.
Right on.
Now
Speaking go ahead.
I just wanted real quick. I did meet a lot of cool sellers out there. A lot of cool sellers. I mean, a lot of them were, it wasn't just like going to a retail store. If it was $10, it was $10. You could offer them $8 or what have you. So I did meet a lot of cool sellers out there. Don't want to put it on, everybody out there is unscrupulous or nothing. I had a great time. Met a lot of cool gamers and a lot of cool sellers.
Right. I think it's just, it's just the smaller guys are starting to see the big picture.
Yeah, but it's definitely,
You know what I mean?
it definitely goes on, and it's something we all see, and I just think the conventions are kind of a new thing for gaming still, and I would hate to see it become another retail experience, because you kind of have your garage sales, your yard sales, your thrift stores, and then you kind of have like that weird in between where like your conventions lie, where maybe you could buy like some manuals that you don't have, because a lot of retail stores won't just sell manuals or cases. You got to go to conventions for stuff like that. So conventions are a great opportunity for those people. Like I need a ton of Sega Genesis boxes that I'm probably just going to look for those while I'm out there. I hate loose cartridges for the Genesis.
There was an absolute ton of them, John. I've seen one guy, he had probably 20 milk crates just full of manuals and boxes.
Yeah, so I would hate to see that experience just turn into another, retail experience. So, because that's what a lot of conventions in other industries have gone. Like, me and my wife used to go to like fitness conventions a lot because we used to be big into bodybuilding and that scene, and that's essentially what that became was, hey, look at my stuff. Here's what I sell. Oh, you want it here? Okay, well, this is what it retails for. Buy yourself, some while you're here. And I always was kind of turned off by that. So I would hate to see gaming conventions go the same route. That's why I bring it up.
Right.
But let's talk about repros. And this will kind of take us into our, we'll talk about this first, and then it'll just take us into our hidden gems and recent pickups in what we're playing. So, Cliff, you had a pretty interesting experience with a repro over the last couple days. So I want to go ahead and I want to have you share that, and I want to get your guys' opinion on repros as far as is it something that it can be useful, or is it something that could possibly be damaging to the retro gaming scene? So, Cliff, I'll let you go ahead and start and share your experience, man.
Well, I do consider myself, of course, I'm a collector. I do collect, but I also play games. I play the games I collect. So most importantly to me is to be able to play the game, and I like physical media. I like to have my cards. Well, we all know there are some games out there that go for more than they should, and and I'm not opposed to paying for a reproduction of a card of one that's just I'm not going to get a reproduction of NBA Jam, but I may get a reproduction of, say, Sunset Riders or Earthbound possibly, or Little Samson or something like that. So I got a reproduction card of Truxton on the Sega Genesis. This is a killer shoot 'em up, by the way. If you can find a way to play Truxton, you like shoot 'em ups, it is awesome. So anyway, I ordered a reproduction from China off a rather large website that does deal in a lot of gaming stuff, reproductions, ROM hacks, and stuff like that. And upon receiving it, Truxton on the boot up screen, next thing you know, I'm playing Ghouls and Ghosts. But yeah. But I will say though, actually, for the game played well and everything. But one thing I will say that in a way, it made me feel better because there's no way you're going to mistake this repro for a legitimate copy. And I do support reproductions that do that. I mean, I would be leery of a reproduction. I really wouldn't want to support one that would potentially could pass off as a legitimate cartridge because I think that could be detrimental to the gaming community, could be detrimental to gaming, but it's not fooling anybody, but it allows me to play a cartridge that I may otherwise not be able to play. So the gamer in me gets to play the game, and the collector in me gets to put one up on my shelf. And at the end of the day, I mean that I'm okay with that. So I mean, and a lot of times we do see reproductions and ROM hacks of games that breathe new life into games and stuff like that. But I, for one, think that there is a place for repros in gaming now, especially with prices. And what do y'all guys think about that? Do you see more people going that route, or how do you feel about them?
Well, yeah, I'll go ahead. I think at this point, sometimes you have no choice unless you've got a giant bank account. I mean, there are some games. Let's face it, there are some games that you might want to play an emulation, or there's that dirty word, Cliff, emulation, or these reproduction cards are really essentially your only means to play these games. You have emulation, that's fine for some people, but there are some people like a Cliff, I know for you, for example, and I'm like this sometimes too, especially when there's a nostalgia factor for the game. I want to put in the console, I want to have my Sega controller, and I want to play it on like a CRT TV. So I can't go out and spend $800 for this game. Okay, what's my next best bet? Reproduction. And like you said, Cliff, the only problem I have with repros is when people try and make them so real that it's hard to tell. Now, the person who's really looking for it and knows their stuff, they'll open the board up and they'll be able to tell it either way. But for the people that may not know how to do that, they can get taken for. So that's the only problem I have with repro. But I think overall, I think it's a good thing, and I'm really surprised it hasn't affected the cost of the market. Like, hasn't brought some of these expensive games down a little bit. But that's kind of that's my opinion on it. What do you think, Will?
I'm down with it. I bought Castlevania Bloodlines repro. It's there's no way to mistaken it, as an original. That's always good.
But the game plays well. Like the cart you can you can tell, but the gameplay you wouldn't tell the difference. Right?
The game plays flawless and sounds great. It looks great, and I get to play it on the original hardware. But best of all, it was $6. So I'll take that.
That's a lot more than what I paid for my Bloodline.
And and that's fine. But I'll buy a repro any day. $6, shit, anytime.
Which is funny, Will, because it's funny. I think you posted a picture of it in your Facebook group, and I commented on there like, "Oh, that's a repro." But there was a lot
you
of
were
people,
the first one.
And this is what I'm talking about. Though there's a lot of people who don't know about these reproduction cards. So there was a lot of people. That, oh, that's awesome, not knowing, and they probably would have spent $40 or $30 for the game, thinking that they got a good deal.
Easy. Yeah.
All right, so we can all agree that repros are good for the most part.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think more people should be taking a look at them. There's a lot of good people in the community that if you don't, like I say, if you don't want to buy one from China, there's a lot of good people doing home brews, doing ROM hacks, and doing
John
stuff
Riggs.
like that. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to support somebody in the gaming community that does repros, high quality repros, go for it, man. You know, like John said, you know, and I kind of wonder too myself, why hasn't it put a bigger dent into pricing? You know, my only guess would be that more people are not aware of them, or that possibly some collectors look down upon them. But in the end, man, it's all about playing that game. You know what I mean? If I can play the game, I'm all about that. You know what I mean? I'm all not about just having the real cartridge. If you can have it, absolutely. But I want, you know, the playing the game is the most important. So, yeah, I mean, and I'm like y'all guys. I say go for it.
Yeah, as far as that goes, you know, some people have to have their shelf candy, but no, there are collectors out there who kind of look at it as like a status symbol. Look at this game I have. Yeah, I was joking earlier with Xander from XS Gaming Podcast, and we were talking, and I told him, I said, if I ever come across a stadium events card, I'm going to take it into a retro store and trade it in just to piss off all the elitist collectors instead of selling it, because they want you to sell it outright, you know, because it increases the price of it. So they get mad at you if you trade it in. So, and then I would just go buck wild on getting $8,000 worth of decent games that I actually want to play. So, all right, guys, it's time for a regular segment here. And that is Shout Your Hidden Gem.
Right.
I hope you guys are ready for this. Who wants to take it first?
I'll roll with it first since mine's quick. I'll tell you mine.
From Florida. Making the rules. Take it away, Will.
Section Z for the NES by Capcom. It is an awesome side-scroller shooter where you're this little guy with a jetpack, and you can run on the ground, but you can fly. But the mechanic that makes it awesome is like on Gunsmoke, you hit A to shoot to the left and B to shoot to the right, or vice versa. Well, on this one, A shoots forward and B shoots backwards. So it's a really good game. It's overlooked. And you can find it under $10. So Section Z.
Wow,
check that.
I'm looking at it right now. Is it made by Capcom?
Yeah, it's one of the first Capcom games.
Looks really good, actually. So this is for the NES.
Yeah.
I'll post pictures of it so people can see it on the channel. So Section Z,
Great.
this looks like a lot of fun. You said this is less than $10?
Oh yeah, easy.
I got to keep an eye out for that. Section Z on the NES. I'm gonna look into this. This looks cool.
Yeah, it is a real
Cliff.
good game.
Cliff, what's your hidden gem for this podcast?
Well, Will's got me beat on affordability, but that doesn't mean this is not a great game. It is a good game, but it is going to set you back a little bit unless you can, come up on a good deal. But if you like StarCraft, if you like strategy games, you may want to take a look at my hidden gem, which is Herzog Zwei. It is a strategy game for the Sega Genesis, and a lot of people consider it a founding cornerstone of the strategy genre, certainly on consoles. You take the form of a plane, and you can transform. There is a modern adaptation of this that is free to play on PS4. I'm not sure about Xbox One, but it's called Air Mech Arena or Air Mech Assault.
Yeah.
Well, basically, your different bases, you deploy different troops, you use different strategies to attack the base, the enemy base, defend your base, and of course, the Sega Genesis version is more of course, stripped down because of the 16-bit era. But definitely, if you love strategy games and you love the Sega Genesis, if you can get your hands on Herzog's Y, I definitely recommend that you give it a shot.
I'm looking at it right now, Cliff. It's a $37 game, which really isn't too bad considering that some game prices.
Yeah, that's
the interesting enough though, the Japan import you could get for like $10.
Yeah, and let me tell you, Cliff mentioned Air Mech Assault. You can get that free on Xbox Gold. If you have a subscription to Xbox Gold, it's a free download, and it's actually a really fun game too. I just happen to play the Xbox 360 version.
Okay, yeah, it is. It is basically a spiritual successor, if you will, to Herzog's Y. I played the PS4 version, and I enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, if you get your hands on that game on the Sega Genesis, and you're a fan of strategy games, check it out. Definitely.
Cool, man. Absolutely.
I'll check that one out. I checked out. I went out and bought that Dino Riki that you talked about in the last episode, man. That's a good game. I got and it only cost me like $6 with shipping. I got a $10 gift card from Amazon, and I was like, oh man, what game do I want to buy? And I was like, let me try Cliff's Hidden Gem. And yeah, it's a fun game, but dude, I'll tell you what, it's hard.
Oh, it's balls hard.
But yeah, I'm gonna start checking
that jumping mechanic.
That's
the whole jumping mechanic on that one.
How they say nowadays, get good.
Yeah. All right, my hidden gem is from Sega Genesis. It actually was released in '94, so it's a late Genesis game, and the publisher was Accolade. And I've talked about this game, I think, on a pickups video on my channel. It's a first-person shooter for the Genesis. What? First-person shooter on a 16-bit console. Sounds like it would be pretty crappy, right? No, it's actually really good, and the name of the game is Zero Tolerance. Zero Tolerance for the Sega Genesis. And you essentially play as, you could pick one of 4 players to start the game. If you die, you can reselect and play one of the other guys who you didn't start off with. But I think it pretty much takes place in space. I'm not too familiar with the backstory. I just kind of threw it in and played it. It's really good. It's a fun game. The only bad thing is they had to shrink the size of the gameplay screen in order to make it look half decent.
Yeah.
So graphically, it's for a 16-bit shooter, it's pretty impressive. I will say that. It doesn't look quite as good as Wolfenstein, but I would say it's like a step down from Wolfenstein. I think it actually, but the gameplay, it plays just as well as like a Wolfenstein game would. And the cool thing about this one is you can jump. You don't really need to use the jump function for what I've seen, but it's pretty good. You got a good variety of weapons. There's a map on the bottom of the screen. It's overall, it's a good game, and I got it complete in box for I think it was about $9. So it's a very inexpensive game.
Awesome.
So if you're looking for a new experience, never played a first-person shooter on a 16-bit console, that's the one you want to get. Again, it's Zero Tolerance, and publisher is Accolade. So, Will, you played that one before, I think you said.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, I own it. I love it. And each character that you can choose from has different abilities and stuff. So it's really...
Yes, I didn't mention that.
I think it's a little deeper than Wolfenstein, but yeah, you're right. It is in that vein. So, yeah, great choice, man. Great game.
I have to check
it out.
All
right, so we'll give everybody an opportunity to look those up, and let's get into our last segment, and that's what we've been playing, and if you found any killer deals. What did you find, and where did you find them? Will, I'll let you go first, man.
All right, brother. Let's see. I think, my what I'm playing now is my birthday was last Friday, and I got
happy birthday, man.
Oh, thanks. I'm an old bastard. I'm almost 40. But yeah, I've been playing Gavelius, and I've been digging that a lot. And I picked up Doom for the PlayStation 4, and I've been really, really enjoying that. So that's what I've been playing lately. What about you guys?
Dude, I heard that Doom I haven't heard a bad review about it, and I'll tell you what, I've watched a couple live streams. I watched the live stream today with Black Metal Gamer, and dude, that game looked awesome. I think everybody was like expecting a Call of Duty like ripoff or something, or another crappy Doom like Doom 3, but this is like the return to the old school Doom, man. You're like awarded for being aggressive. You have to be aggressive in the game. You can't sit back and wait and pick, monsters off. You got to go in there and you got to, get crazy.
Yeah, I watched that review too. Mike did a good job on that. That was a good video. It pretty much embodies how I feel about Doom. So it's a great game. Great game.
Awesome.
Cliff, what you've been so Will, you don't have any good pickups, or are you saving those for the channel?
No. The only pickups I got was I got Turrican for the Genesis for a couple bucks. The Karate Kid for the NES. I found that for real cheap. Got Street Fighter Plus Alpha for the PlayStation 1, and I know you guys might not think so, but for the Wii, Excite Truck is an amazing racer, arcade racer, original Nintendo IP. And if you've heard of Excite Bike, it's just like that, but in trucks and updated. So
you sent me a picture. You sent me a picture of Excite Truck, and I was like, that sounds epically bad. And there was a long pause, and he's like, no, it's actually really good. And I'm like, oh, I think I hit a nerve.
No. Just trust me, it's good. Yep.
On the Wii?
Yep. On the Wii, they made two of them. There's an Excite Truck and Excite Bots, and those two games are stellar games.
Man, I love Excite Bike, so I'm gonna have to take you up on that one.
Yeah, check those out. But that's pretty much all I found recently.
Right on, Cliff. What you been playing, man?
Man, I'm at the 70-hour mark on Divinity Original Sin. That game is just awesome. It is on the back of the box, when they always say, oh, we got 30 hours of gameplay and stuff like that, you're like, yeah, right. Well, the back of Divinity, it says, well, over 100 hours of quest, and they're not kidding. But I'm still having a good time with that. Been playing that, cool. But my nighttime game is I've been playing Final Fantasy Legend 2. And I probably got around 10 hours or so of that. Been playing, like an hour or so when I'm winding down, getting ready to go to sleep. I'll grab the old SP while I'm laying in bed and grind out a little bit and progress the story a little bit further. But I'm really enjoying the game. It's cool. It's old school Final Fantasy on the SP, so I'm digging that. I finally found a decent deal, I believe, on a GameCube player and the boot disc. Got both of them for $30. It was like $32. Of course, good old Uncle Sam's going to add a few dollars on there for tax. But I had already had the base, and last night I checked my base, and it is working. So, I'd always debated, well, if I bought it, then I could sell the base and recoup a few bucks. But got a pretty good deal on that. Well, like Will alluded to earlier in the show, them things are just getting pretty outrageous, actually. But,
yeah.
The thing is awesome. It's so cool. You get your Game Boy Advance, get the link cable. You just so much stuff you can do with that. But, that was one of my finds that I was really excited to get. I got a pretty good deal on it, but I was just so stoked to finally snatch it up.
Well, Cliff, I got to ask you, man, how does that translate from the Game Boy to your TV? Is the picture just as good, or does it get kind of funky when you blow it up and put it on a large TV like that?
I tell you what, John, especially with Game Boy Advance games, I was impressed. It allows you 3 filters and allows you to size your screen. You can shrink it down, you can get a medium size, and you can get a full screen. You can put customizable borders. I don't know, 20, 30 different borders you can put around. And it allows filters like soft, sharp, and one other filter, 3 of them. But surprisingly, the image quality is really good, really, really good.
That's good, yeah, because I was worried about that. And Will, I heard Cliff has a a boot disc for sale.
Yeah, right.
Since you're looking for one.
No, man. I a couple of times I came really close to biting the bullet and ordering one offline, but luckily enough, a local game shop ended up having one, so didn't have to go that route. But man, I'm like Will, I've been searching and searching. Every random GameCube I see, I pop open the disc. I pop open the GameCube. I'm like, is it in there? Nope.
Yep.
Cool. That's awesome, man. That's a good find. It's again, it all goes back to patience. You were patient.
Yeah.
You found a good deal. What I've been playing, man. I'm still playing Dark Souls. I really wanted to buy Doom 3. Listen to me. I take that nostalgia thing seriously, guys. I wanted to buy the new Doom, but I'm so wrapped up in Dark Souls 3 right now. I told myself, paid $60 for this game. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the game. I'm going to beat it before I spend another $60 on a game. So I've been playing that. I'm probably way too leveled up than I need to be, but I'm not the best at video games when it comes to that. So I'm slowly trucking through it, and I'm getting where I need to be and enjoying myself along the way.
There you go.
Cool.
That's like all I've been playing lately. I've picked up so many like retro games in the last probably week, just because I ran into some good deals. That I always take like Sundays, and I try and play like the games I picked up, just a little bit, because like I do my pickups videos, so I like to talk about the game and show the game, and I like to like at least know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I've been like playing all these games, but I only have like 10 to 15 minutes to play each game. So I'm like just going crazy, and I'm not focusing on like one older game right now like I normally do. So I picked up 2 NES games today with some trade-in credit that I had. I got Yonoid and TMNT, the first one. Yeah, nothing special, but I think they're both awesome games. And of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has that epically hard water level where you get shocked by the edges.
Yeah.
So we all know how that goes. So I'm gonna play that a little bit this week. I'm gonna try and beat it. I actually, believe it or not, that's one of the few games, that and Battletoads, I beat when I was younger. I didn't know they were hard games when I was younger, because I used to play video games so much on Nintendo. It was probably unhealthy how much video games I used to play. Because like my Nintendo was down in our family room, and I had full access to it. So like even when I had like my PlayStation upstairs, my parents would be like, "No, we're watching TV. You need to go down to the family room and play video games." But I like when Nintendo's down there, and this is like 1999. Who the hell's still playing a Nintendo? I was. So I was down there getting good at games like Battletoads and TMNT. So they're fun games, though, all the same. That's about it. I haven't. Yeah, but that's all I've been. Yeah, as far as pickups goes, just a few games here and there for the PS1. No crazy deals. No $3.99 PS2s. But yeah, Dark Souls 3 is kind of consuming me right now. So I always look over. I sit on the couch and I play, and I look over at my wife, and she like kind of starts giving me the eyeball. I know it's time to turn it off.
Yeah. I know that look.
Man, that'll do it for episode 2 of the Cartridge Connection podcast.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm glad you guys could be here for it, and I'm glad and thankful for all the people that have tuned in and offered some awesome feedback. So don't forget to subscribe, and we have a Twitter page apparently that Cliff does. I don't do Twitter. For me, just keeping up with the YouTube channel is hard enough. So Cliff, what is the Twitter handle we're using?
Okay, excuse me, the Twitter handle for the Cartridge Connection podcast. You see how I did my my fancy announcer's voice there? It is at Cart, capital C, C-A-R-T, if I can talk, at Cart, capital C-A-R-T, capital C-O-N-N, capital P-O-D, at Cart Connect Podcast. Just search up Cartridge Connection Podcast on Twitter and you'll be there.
Awesome.
All right, so as always, follow the Twitter and check out my channel, Gaming Through the Decades, Will, the Gorilla Gamer, and Cliff, Southern Star Gamer. So, guys, awesome episode, and hey, we'll see everyone on the next one.
See you guys later.
All right, PC Podcast out. Take it easy, guys.